Hey watchers, welcome back to the channel. So last time we talked about all the hilariously named AliExpress PRX homages out there, from Humpbuck to Va Va Voom to Tissot Titty, and I said I'd keep you posted on what I ended up picking. Well, I went with the Lolex. Why? Simple. I've had one really good experience with their Submariner clone and another not so great one with their Speedmaster clone. So this was more of an educated gamble than a total blind buy. So the usual sketchy yellow envelope arrives, and inside you already know the drill. A basic Lolex box, a generic card, and a whole bunch of plastic wrap around the watch. Once I ripped that all off, I was greeted by the classic Lolex cheapo strap jangle. I quickly got to work sizing the bracelet, removing 2 links per side, and slid this onto my wrist. And you know what? It doesn't feel bad. But also, doesn't feel great. Now here's where I was pleasantly surprised. Setting the time. The hands turn with more heft than their sub-diver model. It feels more solid. And the movement hacks, which is a very nice touch. Even the date window at 3 o'clock makes a very satisfying tick over each day. And will you just look at that dark blue dial? For 15 Australian dollars, it's genuinely nice. The real selling point of Lolex, especially at this price point, is their sweeping quartz movement. For the price difference between a real Tissot PRX quartz and automatic, or comparing this to something like Spectre and Sons to a Binbon, the Lolex starts making a whole lot of sense. Now let's talk about the case, because honestly, this is one of its stronger points here. There's some brushing on the top, while the sides are high polished, and surprisingly, it works. The contrast gives it a bit more presence than you'd expect from a $15 watch. This one's a 40mm diameter dial, but the case presents larger on the wrist. The thickness is just under 12mm, and the lug-to-lug is technically around 45mm. But because of how the integrated links connect and where they fold, the watch actually wears closer to 55mm lug-to-lug. So if you've got a smaller wrist, that extended reach might be something to keep in mind. Still, I actually like the case. The finishing is passable, no major chips, no razor-sharp edges. The surfaces transition fairly cleanly, and while it won't fool you into thinking it's a luxury piece, it doesn't scream cheap either, at least from a distance. Now if you zoom right in, especially between the lugs and the bracelet end links, you'll see some rough tooling marks. It's not awful, but it's there, just something to be aware of. Now, the bracelet. Yeah, that's where this thing starts to fall apart. As I mentioned before, it's cheap, and the colour isn't quite a match either. It's got this slightly brownish tinge to it, almost like the case and bracelet were made by 2 separate factories. There's also no consistent brushing from the case to the bracelet, and you can definitely tell the case is probably zinc coated or some pot metal, while the bracelet is something else entirely. Wearing it, the bracelet has this weird crunchy feel to it, especially if you squeeze it around your wrist. The butterfly clasp is acceptable, just. It snaps shut, but there's a tiny indent where the 2 halves meet, and it doesn't exactly inspire confidence, but yeah, it's holding up so far. But the strap, definitely a weak point. But here's the thing, and honestly this is why I still think this was a smart buy. For 15 Australian dollar bucks, this is a great way to test if a 40mm PRX style case actually suits your wrist, especially if you can't try one in store. I know Tissot offer a 35mm version, and I'm honestly pretty keen to try that now. But I also reckon that 37mm Spectre and Son might actually be a sweet spot for me. Actually, I've got this rubber strap lying around that didn't quite work out with my Casio Edifice, another integrated bracelet style watch. The case on that one is super slim, and the strap being thick just threw off the balance completely. But this Lolex PRX clone might actually be the perfect match. I'll let you know how that goes in the next vid. In the meanwhile, I'm kinda glad I was on the fence about buying a legit PRX from Tissot. This was a cheap little reality check that helped me figure out what size and fit actually works for me. So that's it for now. Thanks for tuning in. Drop a like if you enjoyed this, and subscribe for more watches and reviews from the bargain bin and beyond. And as always, catch you next time.